Welcome everybody to Geek Dad Reviews. I'm Brian.
And I'm Brian.
And tonight we're going to be reviewing the new horror show from the DC Universe streaming service, Swamp Thing. Full warning, we are going to be spoiling this. We try not to give away too many of the major plot points, but we will be talking about the entire first pilot episode and what we thought about it. So if you have not watched this yet, I highly recommend that you go check it out and then come back and see what we thought. But if you don't care about spoilers, well then hey, this is the show for you because we're going to be spoiling some stuff.
Watch away.
Yeah. The other thing that we do want to touch base on real quick is that we are aware that Swamp Thing has been canceled. So this is we
are doing this just because we enjoyed it.
Yes, we spent a lot of week getting ready for this, talking about it, getting excited about it, and right before we went to record this, we got the news that Swamp Thing was canceled, and we said, you know what? To hell with DC. We are still going to review this because honestly, we thought this show, spoiler alert, was pretty damn good.
Well, and it's not DC fault. It's the state of North Carolina's fault. So
I think they're mutually at fault. DC ultimately could have moved the show to some other location, but they chose to cancel it instead. Yeah. But and to be fair to DC, we have not seen all 10 episodes yet. They may get really, really bad at the end, and they just decided to pull the plug. But right now, it definitely sounds like a financial decision. Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about that. If anybody wants to know what we thought about what happened and what we've heard about what happened behind the scenes, check out our other show, Geek Dad Report, episode 180. We dive full head first into the swamp and try and decode what actually happened behind the set of the Swamp Thing.
And spoiler alert, we both survived.
Yeah, we both survived. But let's talk. Enough about that. Let's actually talk about the pilot episode of Swamp Thing. Yes. This was kind of being hailed as a horror show, and it definitely lived up to it. I mean, so far we've gotten 3 live action shows from the DC Universe streaming service. We've gotten the Titans, which is kind of a gritty, typical superhero show. We've got Doom Patrol, which is I don't even know how to explain that.
Which is my favorite show.
Yeah, one of the best shows I've ever seen. And then we've got Swamp Thing, which was billed as a horror show. And true to form, man, the first episode played out as much... I don't know about you, but I felt like I was watching an 80s monster horror movie.
And when you said that, it immediately clicked in my head that is exactly how I felt while I was watching it. Because... I mean, I'm not a fan of horror movies, but if you've seen any of the other episodes, I do not even watch the trailers for like horror movies or anything like that. I'm a big wimp, but this stuff it's just right up my alley.
Yeah, and I mean it's got a cast of mostly people you've never seen or heard of before. It's got a soundtrack that's very like 80s. It's like synthesizers and like creepy tones, and it felt to me. Growing up as a fan of The Thing, I grew up on those horror movies. The Thing, The Fly, The Blob, anything with "the" in front of it.
Anything with "the" in front.
Yeah, and that's the way this felt. Like the whole first episode was kind of it was almost like a murder mystery a little bit, like hey, people die, supernatural forces are at play, what's happening, right? So it's a few people trying to uncover, some scientists trying to figure out, hey, there's a plague. There's some horrific things happening to people. They're getting trees that are growing out of them that are just disgusting. And
I know was in the bathroom. I had to.
Oh, dude. So this show is not for the faint of heart. My wife loves.
That's not for the kids either.
Yeah, my wife usually loves like intense thrillers and like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. And she always usually gives me crap for being squeamish in horror movies. But we were watching this, and there was times when I thought she was going to be like, "Nope, I'm out." But there's a part, dude, when the morgue, when the vines reanimate that dude's corpse and it kind of rips in half and it's God, like goo, like black goo squirting out everywhere.
And his daughters are like, "Oh, Daddy."
Yeah, like I said, it had a very strong the Thing vibe and some of the stuff going on. It was pretty gruesome, but yeah, I just loved it. It felt so much like what I grew up watching But it wasn't like...
Oh, I was going to say, but it is also, as with the horror and everything, that it is very much an origin episode. Like how we're going to get to, they complete it all in one episode.
Well, and you know, I grew up reading some Swamp Thing, but it wasn't one of my huge, you know, favorites, and I watched the original movie, so I loosely knew the origin of Swamp Thing. But I'm by no means an expert on this character. And the first episode does a really good job of establishing the characters, kind of understanding what's about to happen. And then when it does happen, you don't feel like you're going, I don't understand what's going on. You very much feel it. That being said, I was a little surprised at the end of the first episode when we get the creation of a Swamp Thing. You know, the whole beginning, you're kind of wondering, like, is the Swamp Thing already there? Is it a character we've seen yet? Is it going to be a reveal, or are they actually going to do the transformation?
They left it pretty open. I mean, the swamp is, you know, in some ways, you know, has a mind of its own, you know, currently.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, the swamp is almost evil at this point. It feels evil, and I like them using the swamp itself as a villain, even though it's not going to be the main villain. I mean, clearly there's a main villain in this, but I loved how they set up the whole outbreak vibe, the whole science. You know, it's great when you got scientists as your heroes, because then you can do the whole science, you know, the evil science behind things as the villain.
Yeah, it's not like kind of science. You know, it's very interesting, like how they kind of went with it with I can't remember what they're called. Whatever the fertilizer thing was.
Oh yeah, the accelerator they were using.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the science, they do a decent job of explaining it, so you're not too confused. But I was, and then at the end, when you know what happens, you're like, oh, okay, so now I get where they're going with this. But that was my only criticism. I mean, it's not even really a complaint. I do wish we would have got maybe another episode before the creation of Swamp Thing, because you know they're clearly setting up these characters. You know, she's going to be kind of the main scientist. She's going to be the kind of the, not really love interest, but she's going to be the beauty to the Swamp Thing's beast in this, obviously. And I wish we could have got a little more, because the episode did a good job of giving us a strong connection between the two by the end. But I think they could have fleshed it out even more in another episode. Maybe as the season goes on, you know, you're going to buy their strong bonds a little bit more. But I mean, that's just a nitpick criticism. They clearly wanted to get to the Swamp Thing in this. This is about the Swamp Thing, and they did not want to have, like, you know, and I also respect that they didn't give us 9 episodes with no Swamp Thing, and then, like, the final episode is the Swamp Thing.
I mean, and they did do a really good job of setting up, you know, the relationship between Holland and the, whatever that girl's name is that works for the CDC.
There we go. Pulling up Abby Arcane.
You know, and setting up, like, the characters of the town.
Well, yeah, and the back, dude, the town. Oh, that's a good point, man. The town was as much a person in this show as the characters were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could feel the weight of this old town.
Yeah, it's just a small town on the swamp, and you really get that feel, you know, with the mom from the girl that died.
Yeah, and just the weight of why Abby never wanted to come back. You could feel the tension. It was really well directed. Like I said, it was well written. It was really just really good. Like, for an hour, I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like, you're watching something
then when
great.
They started, like, doing the Swamp Thing origin, I'm like, you know, it's like, yeah, that's sweet that they're doing it, but, like, I kind of wanted to see him and her. You know,
like I said, I
wanted to see that relationship. I wanted them to do, like, some CSI.
Yeah, I would have really enjoyed. Well, that's the way it kind of was too, to an extent, as they were investigating this whole thing. It's like a murder mystery. I would have liked to see a 2-hour type pilot where at the end of the second hour he becomes a Swamp Thing instead of the first. But that being said, we get our first look at Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing looks great. Like, he looks great. I like how they got the red eyes.
$40 million from the state of North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's for $40 million. We'll buy a really good Swamp Thing costume. But
he gets to take it home.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're going to be selling that thing off at eBay to try and recoup some of their cash. But no, I liked how the pilot set up a lot of different plot threads. So it's not just a one-trick pony. There's a lot of things that can be unraveled throughout the first season. And I just dig the vibe of this. I'm really excited. I love a good creature horror movie, and this feels like we're going to get a 10-hour creature horror movie.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be I mean, it's going to be the one that's going to be kind of more trying to keep you on your toes throughout the episode.
Yeah, and there's going to be some jumps and some scares.
Doom Patrol is the comedy superhero. The like you said, or Titans kind of like the more like the gritty, you know,
Action,
teenage,
yeah,
young people trying to, you know, figure out where they are and know who they are
with a lot of
like,
kung fu.
yeah, and Swamp Thing is going to be the more adult. You know, people are, you know, they're
Dude,
just
all these shows are adult. These are all for adults.
True. That's very true.
All these shows are for us, but yeah, this is definitely going to be the horror, sci-fi, you know, creature. But I mean, hey, if you have a giant swamp monster that comes out of the swamp, I don't care how good he is, it's got to be some kind of a horror show, right?
Yeah,
That's the way it's got to be. But
I'm really looking forward to seeing how they take it.
I am too. I'm kind of bummed we have to wait a week for each episode. If they were going to cancel it, I wish they would have just dropped all 10 episodes so we could watch them. But you know what? Even though the show's been canceled, you know, I think people should still check this show out. I mean, it may only be one season, but I think it's going to be a really good season.
Yeah, and who knows? They might find another swamp somewhere to record stuff. So it's definitely worth at least giving it a try, or do at least a 3-episode run.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the DC Universe app anyway,
we still don't know how, like you said earlier, we still don't know how the rest of the episodes are going to go. But based off the pilot, I think it's a good starting point. I would definitely check it out. So I think me and you are in unison. We think that everyone should definitely check out Swamp Thing. The first episode is currently streaming on the DC Universe subscription service. You can pick it up for about $6 a month right now. I think like $70 for the whole year. I think it's worth it. Doom Patrol, like you said, is one of my favorite shows. Titans is great, and Swamp Thing is to me going to be a great addition. Unfortunately, we're just going to get the one season, but hey, maybe we'll get a cult classic. Maybe it'll become a cult classic, and somebody will bring it back at some point. So we'll see. There we go. All right, check out Swamp Thing, and thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, stay awesome and stay out of the swamps. And stay dirty, everybody.
And don't ask North Carolina for any tax credits.
And don't mess with fertilizer.
Ever. Or anything called accelerants in a swamp.
Yes. Yeah.
Bad. Later.